a chance. We vow to do our best. After you're gone, oh Dad, it's gonna break my heart, the love you've shown to me. After reading your letters, the first thing I thought was, Dad, I don't want you to leave. And yes, we promise that we'll get.
Welcome and all American Cartel members, Anons, Facebook friends, Instagram followers, random YouTube viewers. Thanks for joining me. My name is Julio Hawkes and I am the Theorizing Theorist. And today we're going to be discussing a brand new cult I've come across. Now, I don't know if this is an old cult to y'all, but to me this is kind of brand new. We got Rose Mcgowan on Godlike Productions. Somebody put up a thread. I guess she spills the beans on a lot of things that we already knew. She's on the Dore show. If you don't know who he is, Google him. I'm sure you'll know who he is. And same with Rose Mcgowan. So it seems, like I said, she's spilling the beans. And the GLPers, that's a website called Godlike Productions that has like articles and lots of it's like a 4chan almost, or a Reddit or something like that, where you can kind of chat. So lots of interesting information in regards to River Phoenix and this cult and the stuff that they do behind the scenes. So if you appreciate my efforts in bringing you these new videos and videos that are interesting and pertain to what we're all interested in, please consider donating by checking the description below. It's how I make my living. I do this all for free and I depend on donations. Haven't gotten any in a while, so I'm just kind of trying to see if I can't get y'all to donate. So please consider donating. Also, please consider sharing this video, subscribing if you're not subscribed, liking it, and make sure you comment in the comment section below. That's where all the fun happens. And yeah, I think that's all I got for you. So remember, like, subscribe, share, donate, whatever you can. $1, $5, $10, anything helps. Keeps the show up and running for us. So without further ado, let's dive into this article. Rose Mcgowan dropped huge truth bombs on Jimmy Dore's show, confirms what many GLPers suspected all along. It's stunning. Now I'm going to show you this video right here, and this video, of course, in a couple of seconds in its entirety. And somebody wrote, this is important, lots of bumps. She's starting her own podcast this month. That should be very interesting. One big show with plenty of bad fucking actresses. And then here is the beginning video. She grew up in that Children of God cult. It is a global child prostitution ring, huge, and it's been around for a long time. It's all over the world. Synopsis of book I read about a former member of the cult. She was told to have sex with various rich people, famous people, because they needed God's love. These people in the cult are doing this because they believe they are showing them God's love. And these rich people pay their pimps big. The mothers are taught to have sex with their sons. Fathers have sex with their daughters. They are truly Sabotians. I don't know what that word is, but they pretend it's just David Berg in charge. But in the book, the woman tells how it's a bunch of shadowy intelligence people running it behind the scenes. Some of these cults start out legit, but always get bought out. She does describe in the early years how they were struggling financially to buy a house, get furniture, and things. Someone goes, what was she exposing or talking about? And create artificial need for shelter and things with a rigged system that then sexually exploit their needs. The trouble we are in, thanks to the single person who wasn't a dumb lazy ass and actually explained the video. Total package. The libs are turning on each other. Mcgowan has been hanging out in the world of socio-political left for years, which I hope is a blue pill that has finally worn off. However, I bet she still is way more wary of socio-political conservatives than of so-called progressives or so-called lefties. Liberalism creates the perfect Stockholm syndrome in not just hard liberals, but soft liberals too, even in also plenty of so-called centrist, moderates, and squishy conservatives. Hey, Mitt Romney, how are things going? And here's another one I wanted to read to you. River Phoenix's family were starving missionaries in Central America when they joined up with the Children of God cult. Now, is this anything to do with John of God or God of John or whatever that guy's name that was with Oprah? I don't know. Let me know in the comment section below, or if you know anything else about the Children of God cult. I'm going to be digging a little bit into it. But if you could help me out in the comment section, please link us up, and we will all join you in the investigation, I guess. So anyway, River's parents set up a private tent when he was only 4 years old to be raped by an older female cult member. Kids always slept in the same huge room as adults and observed the ongoing group sex. Flirty fishing was a practice whereby young girls created seduction videos for cult leaders who then pushed them to seduce and to recruit new members. Boys were not exempt. David Koresh's son tracked down and killed his nanny, who'd molested and raped him for years. Then he committed suicide, unable to exorcise his lifelong demons. Whenever authorities finally started to investigate the cult, then moved to another state or country, schooling was minimal. Kids had very little real skills to survive outside the cult. Many killed themselves as adults. All I remember is the ass dress. Mcgowan is a remarkable woman with great courage and honesty. Not always great, of course, but I have to admire her guts. So was Weinstein working for Mossad. Agencies like Mossad and CIA are destroying the world. They need to be eliminated. They don't actually help the countries they're based in. Their effect is actually destructive to them, to democracy, and to the world at large. The intel community worldwide are truly the children of Satan, and that includes the watchers here. She's weird, but I do like her. She has guts, and that's all that counts. When River Phoenix family came to NY, they were in desperate economic circumstances. Then the father realized he could pimp out his still young kids for acting roles. Rose definitely got red pilled. She used to be a hardcore lefty. She'll always have some of the nicest breasts in Hollywood. Google them, and I will be Googling those here in a minute. Not with you guys, but after this video is uploaded. My topic was earlier and better thread. Rose Mcgowan gets a fair platform to explain herself. So maybe they already talked about it in another thread here on Godlike Productions. I originally assumed that more people in such parts of government and society were not deranged, sociopathic, left-leaning Frankenstein monsters, duh or dope to me. Although I've long been on the socio-political right, even I've been a red pilled over the past few years. Good stuff, don't get huffy. Thanks for the link. How? Exposing Black Cube. Good Lord, that horrible, and I bitch about my wonderful mom sometimes being a little critical of me as a kid. I need my ass kicked. Did Joaquin suffer the same abuse? Maybe that's why he's so weird. I just read a fascinating article about the CIA. They've been communist supporters for decades. They supported Castro and helped him get power. So did our State Department, just as Senator Joe McCarthy claimed in the early 50s. They use communism as a pathway towards globalism. To me, globalism is just reestablishing feudalism, but with technology. They have always hated democracy, and I'm sure the Mossad and other intel agencies are just like them. Don't forget, Israel was founded by many people who were communists. Not saying all or even most of the people were or are, but there has always been a significant communist segment over there. Here's a CIA article. It is well worth the read. So if you guys want to check these links out or check the rest of these articles out, as you could see, there is 5 pages, it looks like. So go check that out and check out that other Crybabies link that said thread. Rose Mcgowan gets her a fair platform to explain herself. I'll peruse them too and see if I see anything interesting, and that's all I really have for you. So I'm going to leave you guys here, and I'm going to start these videos up into this little segment here, so you guys will see these 2 videos here. It's about like I think it's about 35 minutes long combined. So anyway, guys, I'm going to leave you with the typical, and as always, you know the routine. To God be the glory.
We have a special guest with us. She's an internationally acclaimed actress. She's a writer, a musician, truth teller. She's been the voice for those who have been silenced. She was the first woman to be awarded the GQ Inspiration Prize. She wrote a book that I highly recommend titled Brave, and she is certainly that. She has a new podcast coming out called The Brave Truth. Please welcome to the show, Rose Mcgowan. Hi, Rose. How are you?
Hello, Jimmy. Thank you for having me. And I apologize for last week's semi-fiasco on my part. I do believe Tim Cook is partially to blame. You know, they double check everything you do on your iPhone except for the AM PM. That's my fault.
No, I've had that happen. I've had that happen. I tell Siri to set my alarms, and then when I don't wake up, it's her fault. And boy, she hears about it. I'll tell you that.
She hears about it.
So, Rose Mcgowan, it's been quite a journey for you because you were 2017's Time Person of the Year, right? And then you fell out of favor with the people. And let me just play this quick excerpt of when you went on Fox News a few weeks ago, and it caused a big stir. But it sounded a lot like what we've been saying here at the Jimmy Dore Show since 2015. And so let me just play it, and we'll talk about it.
Well, as some of you know, as some of you don't know, if you've heard
Hang on, let me turn it up a little bit. It's a little too low. Ready? And...
Well, as some of you know, as some of you don't know, if you've heard my name or read anything on me in the media, I grew up in a cult, and it was a very famous cult called Children of God, and it gave me a superpower. It gave me the ability to see the control and the propaganda machine, especially in the U.S., for what it is and how it harms people, and how the left can harm people just as much as the right if they go very, very deep into it and ignore all other aspects of kind of reality in a way, and that you're serving a master that might not be serving you. And I always say I come in peace. I am not here to make people feel bad about their political choices, but I am here to say that you might be in a cult too if you don't know the signs. And I do believe Democrats most especially are in a deep cult that they really don't and know about and aren't really aware of. And I leave the Republicans alone more because I do respect people more that are like, this is what we are, this is what we're about, this is what we're against. Whereas I find the Democrats are really pretty much almost against all the same things. They're against changing the world for the better. And they're for keeping a system in place that is for so few people and benefits so few, but they masquerade as the helpers. We would do this. The world would be perfect if only those Republicans would get out of the way. Well, okay, you've got control. So now what? What are you going to do to make the world better?
So that is such a salient point. I tried to point out to my friends from Hollywood, and I know through comedy, and in fact, even the executive producer of The Simpsons was misinformed on this, of course, on Twitter, and he was talking about you have to vote for Joe Biden because of kids in cages, and then I had to inform him that no, I'm sorry. Joe Biden built those cages. Joe Biden and Barack Obama deported more Hispanics than all the presidents combined since 1890. Barack Obama gassed the immigrants at the border. Barack Obama, you know why there's Muslim refugees at the airport that Trump is banning? Because Barack Obama spent 8 years bombing the shit out of them. And my joke was, what does it take for you guys to get upset at Barack Obama bombing Muslims? Does he have to do it at an airport for you guys to give a shit about it? So I've been making those same points here. And of course, you've seen I've been pilloried by the establishment liberal lib media, and now so you went from being Times Magazine's Person of the Year and loved by the establishment to now being pilloried constantly because you're telling those truths. Was that why that's happening, you think?
Well, it actually happened a lot earlier than that. They've been uncomfortable, the mainstream media, the shit libs, if you will, to use your vernacular, Jimmy. They have been after me since the beginning. They've been trying to silence me since the beginning. Twitter deactivated my account 4 days after the New York Times broke the Weinstein news because I tweeted at Jeff Bezos and basically iced was the final axe, on the neck of his studio executive head. That was putting out thought for the world, which is where I have a problem with Hollywood. There's so much about this. I don't know what it takes. I've met Barack Obama. And Ben Rhodes, his script writer and whatever else he is, wrote he's the Tom character in The Godfather, I think, right? The Consigliere. And he texted me after I met Barack Obama. What did you think of my boss? And I wrote back, human to human, your boss is a fail. But he was. I was very disappointed. But I didn't hope for a lot. I didn't vote for him. I felt very uncomfortable with him when he was running. I loved that he meant so much to so many. But he is just so establishment. But he like doubled down. What he's done in the Middle East, what Joe Biden, you know, under probably the tutelage of Biden, because he's this longtime war hawk. My father was never a Democrat. My mother's a deep Democrat. I actually honestly voted once in my life, and it was in the primary, and then I was like, fuck it. Sorry. I was never going to go out Hollywood, vote for people, but vote like we want you to. And going on Fox News has just it's reactivated their hatred for me. And their hatred for me stems from they don't understand me. It's okay. I don't understand them.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, you voted for Hillary Clinton in the primary.
You are correct.
So what happened was when you started it, so just a very similar thing that happened with Glenn Greenwald was that he was the loved and he was the media darling at MSNBC and CNN, and everybody loved him when he was telling hard truths about George Bush and Dick Cheney. But then when he started to do the same thing about Barack Obama and the Clintons, that everybody went nuts. And so that's what happened with you. You realized that the people who were protecting Harvey Weinstein, because you were on the forefront of exposing Harvey Weinstein, and people used to think you were crazy about that. And then, of course, all the reporting that's come out, Ronan Farrow, everything has come out, has actually vindicated everything you've said. You were followed by the Mossad, the agency had Mossad members, all that stuff. Drones, people were following you. They were stealing your private information, stealing your book before it was published, and stuff like So all that stuff that you were saying is actually true, and it's because you started to tell the truth about both sides, about how the Clintons and the Democratic machine and the Hollywood Democratic machine protected Harvey Weinstein, and that's where it really started, right? You were on stage at an event, and you were supposed to introduce Hillary Clinton. You want to tell that story?
Yeah, that's a good one. And of course, there was no press coverage of it, even though there was press everywhere that day. It was an event called Ozzy Fest or Ozzy Fest. I'm not sure. It was in Central Park. And it was not long after the New York Times story broke on Weinstein, October 2017. And I had found out that with one phone call from her spokesperson at the directive of Hillary Clinton, the NBC expose, that I'd been playing NBC execs off of New York Times. I knew one of them would fall. And I was right. And I was pretty sure it'd be NBC, but I know that nobody really at the New York Times wants to actually help anybody. That it's a pissing contest with high-powered people, right? Who gets the story first? Who breaks it? So I get informed that with one phone call, the spokesperson had shut it down. Ronan Farrow, and I don't know if he's scared of Hillary. He devoted about 2 sentences to it in his book, but I think there's a lot more to unpack there. I would put forth, you know. So then I find this out shortly before going on stage. And this is after the expose and the New Yorker come out, but just finding out. And I was like, what the? Oh, bitch. So they say, you're going to be introducing Hillary. And I'm like, well, fantastic. So the last thing I say, I get up. And this is, you know, New York Central Park. People coming to see Hillary Clinton. So who do you think this audience is, right? So I get up and I say, I just want to leave you with one final thought. Harvey Weinstein was Hollywood's cult leader, but he was protected by the Democratic Party. Welcome to the stage, Hillary Clinton. I have to plug in, and there was this collective... But I've had an end, you know, when she drove away and I walked out of Central Park that day.
She didn't invite.
I saw her in her town car.
And did she invite you out to have a coffee and talk about it?
No, I just saw the shape of her hairdo in a black outline in her town car, and I just see this face go like that. That was my last feeling.
I want to make the point that.
Go to you.
I want to make the point that I'm going to play this next video of you, and again, it's what has made this kind of thinking that you're espousing now and revealing is the same thing that got me very unpopular with the Democratic Party. and people who consider themselves Democrats, right? It's because people who consider themselves Democrats consider themselves the guys with the white hats. They're the cowboys with the white hats. They're the good guys. They're on the good side. And my show is here to remind them, you're not. That, in fact, the last time the Democrats had complete control of government, meaning that they had the House, the Senate, a filibuster-proof Senate, and Barack Obama as president, what did they do? Did they give us Medicare for all? Did they give us a public option even? Did they give us student debt relief? Did they save people's mortgages? They did the exact opposite. They gave us a right-wing health care giveaway to the health insurance companies and big pharma that bankrupts Americans and keeps us away from health care. They also kicked 5.1 million families out of their homes. Instead of helping them save their homes in a crisis they did not create, Barack Obama kicked them. There wasn't, and because of Matt Taibbi and Dave Dayen's reporting, we know this, that it wasn't a bug in their mortgage relief program that people lost their houses. That was a feature. They wanted to kick 5.1 million families out of their houses. Why? So they could give those properties to their donor base, which was Wall Street, and then they could resell them. And they're going to do that again. They're getting ready to do. That's why they're not giving you a minimum wage. That's why they're not giving you real COVID relief, because they want you to default on your mortgage so they could give that to your creditors, which is Wall Street, which is their donor class. And so this is what the Democrats do when they have complete control of government. They don't do anything for you. They act exactly like what they are, corporate Republicans. Barack Obama admitted, and I wish I had the videotape loaded, I just thought of it now, but where they asked him, are you a socialist? And he said, no, if you look at my policies, they would be considered moderate Republican. And of course they would. And here's Joe Biden again. He's a Republican. And by the way, Joe Biden is farther right than any right-wing politician who is elected in Europe. Every right-wing politician who's elected in Europe is for universal health care and Medicare for all. Barack Obama is against it. He's to the right of Angela Merkel. He's to the right of Boris Johnson. That's how right-wing Joe Biden is, and people don't realize it. And so you've been saying similar things, and I'll just play it here.
Don't pretend you're not an assassin, and don't pretend you're not a mass murderer on a global scale. You do damage, Joe Biden. You do damage. The political gaslighting that the Democrats, led by Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi, what they do, all of them, Obama, the Clintons, what they do is disgusting. Gaslighting is doing one thing and saying another and telling you you're better off for it. And people believe it. Obama and Biden drone bomb the Middle East more than any other country. They did not withdraw troops. And then you go to Joe Biden being a mass murderer, bombing Syria 21 days into office. Excuse me? It's like America at this point is hire a killer. Other countries are hiring us to do their dirty work, somehow, some way. They're buying arms or they're buying drugs. I don't talk about Republicans a lot because it's just obvious. But it's like I don't have to, we can see it. Whereas the Democrats do hide it better. And the people at home think everybody wants their stuff. Migrants are trying to cross the border to steal their Walmart couch. Fuck that. It's an oligarchy. It is not a democracy. Americans don't even know that there's no choice. The corporation gives you no choice. At one point, you become the corporation.
So that's very well said. George Carlin said similar things. You're saying it even in a more clear way. There is no. So I've tried to tell people that too, right? So in Yemen, Barack Obama assisted a genocide by Saudi Arabia, right? And why are we always bombing at the behest of Saudi Arabia? Why are we in Syria? Why are we arming ISIL? Why are we arming Al Qaeda in Syria? Barack Obama did that. It's called Timber Sycamore. Look it up. It's even in Wikipedia. That's how well known it is. So I try to tell people that Barack Obama dropped more bombs than George Bush and Dick Cheney. They dropped so many bombs in the Middle East, they ran out of bombs. That actually happened. So people don't realize this. He didn't pull us out of Afghanistan. We're still in there. So I try to tell people this, and they wanted to prosecute Julian Assange. They tortured Chelsea Manning. When I tell people this, when I try to tell people this, they do the exact same thing to me as they're doing to you right now. They're trying to make me out to be well, me, they go a step further. They say I'm a white supremacist. They say I'm a misogynist. I'm a sexist. So they can't say that stuff about you. But so there it is. I mean, it's as clear as day. When you tell the truth about our two-party system, which it is not a democracy. I've said this many times. Your democracy was stolen from you long time ago. We have one party with two right wings. And when you tell people that, they don't want to hear it, but we're living in it right now. The first thing Joe Biden did when he became president, you pointed out, he bombed Syria before he gave people their COVID relief checks. He bombed Syria. That's the first thing they did. And why people still don't know we're occupying Syria. We're occupying their oil fields and their wheat fields. Do you think that's for democracy? So I don't know. I don't know where else to. After you did this video and after you were on Fox News, Keith Olbermann came out and said, if you can't tell the difference between the Republican death cult and the Democrats, let me summarize for you. You're full of shit and blocked. Yeah, you're blocked. And if you'll excuse me, I have some Kool-Aid to drink. I am Keith Olbermann. Of course, people have pointed out, Keith, honey, you're proving her point. Please try and find some self-aware. That's exactly. So you said the Democrats are in a cult, and he just proved it. That's exactly. That's not a sober. That's not someone thinking soberly and coming to some kind of sober revelation that, hey, you're full of shit and the Democrats are right. It's just hilarious.
It's insane. And it's actually, here's what happens when you're in a cult and when you're in it. When anybody comes up and says something that electrifies your brain or is a threat to your illusion, they lash out. So this is like a hysterical response, and it was kind of instantaneous. The video I didn't release, that hasn't been released yet. You're the first person to play it. It's actually a promo for my upcoming podcast, The Brave Truth, on May 26th, where I will stir up more shit. And, you're right about all of it. You're right about poor Chelsea Manning. She was tortured. Julian Assange is being tortured to death. They want him to die. What the fuck is wrong with these people?
Well, it's cognitive dissonance. You mentioned that, too. That's what they're employing. It's the things that I saw the right wing, when I came up in the era of Clinton and Ronald Reagan, I saw that the right wing would practice cognitive dissonance, and I always thought they did it. And then, of course, I saw what the Bill Clinton did and Al Gore did, where they got in bed with the Koch brothers through the Democratic Leadership Council. They literally had executives from the Koch brothers on their Democratic Leadership Council, and then they ramped up the drug war. Right? They imprisoned all black and brown people. At the same time, they decimated welfare as we knew it. And they called the black kids super predators. They deregulated Wall Street. They tried to privatize Social Security. So I noticed all this stuff, and I realized, hey, wait a minute, this is all bullshit. The Democrat, Bill Clinton, is no friend of the working man. He did NAFTA, which cut the legs right from underneath unions for the rest of our life. Right? So as they're decimating unions, they're ramping up, they're exploding the prison population while they're gutting welfare. That sounds like a crazy right-winger. That doesn't sound like a Democrat that I was supposed to believe was a Democrat. So I got hip to them, and then I read, you read Listen Liberal by Thomas Frank, and then you'll never be the same. And I just want to show Keith Olbermann saying that, you're saying that they're in a cult, and he's saying, fuck you. Well, I don't know what you would call that.
Dear.
I don't know. Speaking of people who don't know they're in a cult, that would be Keith Olbermann. You think he would have had, Rose, you think he would have had one friend tell him that this was a shitty idea, but apparently he doesn't have any friends. That's the type of photo shoot someone does.
He is America.
That's,
And, which is why I live in Mexico. Yay!
Keith, can I just show this again? This is the kind of photo shoot someone does right before they're convinced they can fly.
It hurts me.
It does. Right before they think they can fly. That's the kind of photo shoot they do. So, Keith Olbermann has denounced, he hates himself because of his Russian heritage. He literally said that. He said, I denounce myself, my Russian heritage. He's xenophobic against himself. It's nuts. That's how Trump has broken.
It's deep cult. And his whole life and his reality would evaporate if he accepted anything else. And that's why they fight so hard. When he blocked me and he said, you're full of shit, and blocked, I was like, I tweeted back, achievement unlocked. Because, it's an achievement.
Hey, everybody, this is the part where I tell you where all our live shows are, but there aren't any. And then this is why I tell you we join our premium program and get extra content, but nobody's got a fucking job. So just enjoy the video. Really? So even after what they've done to you, even after your mother sees that Harvey Weinstein was protected by people like Hillary Clinton, to the point of getting...
And Obama's daughter interned for my rapist and many other women's rapists.
Really?
About 2 to 3 months before that he got exposed in the New York Times, yeah. And you don't think Secret Service has dossiers on everybody.
Yeah.
And my other favorite thing is they're always like, Bill Clinton was on Epstein's plane 26 times. I'm like, did he sit on the fucking tarmac?
So let's talk about that, because I want to... First of all, it's Black Cube, right? So what is Black Cube? Black Cube is a private corporate intelligence company based in London, Tel Aviv, and Madrid. The company was founded in 2010 by former Israeli intelligence officers Dan Zarella and Avi Yanis. Its employees include former members of the Israeli intelligence units. Black Cube drew widespread condemnation for its work surveilling and assisting efforts to slander the reputations of women, accusing Harvey Weinstein of sexual violence and journalists reporting on them. Can you talk about that, about how they harassed you and the story? How did Harvey Weinstein get the idea to hire them?
Well, to tell you the truth, David Boyce, who's one of the preeminent lawyers in the U.S., once Bill Clinton's, or maybe still one of the Clinton's lawyers, he was the one who argued pro-gay marriage in the Supreme Court, and cool, good on you for that. He was Al Gore's lawyer in Gore v. Bush. He went to Prime Minister Ehud Barak as the representative of Weinstein, as his lawyer, and said, former Prime Minister Ehud Barak of Israel said, who should I get to stop Rose McGowan?
Really?
And he said Black Cube.
Black Cube. Wow, that's amazing. And so
I had Julian Assange's lawyer, one of his attorneys was my attorney in London for a while, and she said, I've never seen someone so messed with that is not being terrorized by a government. Meaning
you're the one who was being messed with. So,
people don't even know.
So just give me a little taste of the kind of stuff that agency filled with people ex-Mossad. Tell me what they did to you.
Well, my literary agency called Dupre Miller out of Texas and LA, I met this literary agent on an airplane on the way to a publicized appearance. And this is what happened. Every time they get me, whether it was to plant drugs on me or to insert someone in my life, they would get me on my way on the plane on the way to a publicized appearance, because it's the only time I couldn't use a pseudonym, right? So she sits there, and I've been very vocal in my house. My house was swept for electronics. It was bugged. They flew drones behind my windows every day when I was writing my book. This is like 3 years preceding the articles coming out. I was under siege. And I paid this agency $6,000 a month to protect my book and get it out into the world. The great irony about having a bounty, $1 million plus bounty on your manuscript, is that knowing that I would never put his name in the book, I knew the articles would come out first. So I was like, his name's ugly. It's not going to be in my book. It's not even really about him. That's just a chapter. So my literary agent calls me, Lacey Lynch. This was outed in the New York Times in a subsequent article, and all verified. She was secretly working with Weinstein, as was the head Jan Miller of Dupre Miller, this literary and TV outfit. And they were doing a movie with Jay-Z and Weinstein on Trayvon Martin and with his family. There's a lot of sadness. There's a lot of... it just sucks. I mean, I can't imagine what it'd be like to be Trayvon Martin's family, and then you find out who's really been courting you this whole time, right? Mm-hmm. Side note. So I am being terrorized. I get a call I tell the literary agent that I want to start speaking publicly, doing public speaking. And 2 days later, guess what? We have a bite. Rubin Capital Partners, a woman from an outfit from London. They want you to speak at their big October event. So this woman and 2 other men got inserted into my life. I took the woman to, she had, a fake name, and it was all outed later. Her real name is Stella Pen Pachanak, and she's Israeli. And it was ugly. It was really ugly. And when I went to the SDNY and they showed me this woman's real picture, not her, Rubin Capital Partners fake website bullshit, she's a killer. And I took her out for ice cream and met her all over the country. I was so under siege, my brain was not thinking clearly. Like, why is this woman kind of wherever I am just coincidentally? But I'm also someone who's always in New York or LA, or was. So that didn't seem too far-fetched. But the creepy part is she always called meetings at Weinstein's favorite rape grounds, like the Peninsula hotels on both coasts. There's a lot of creepiness to this. And my brain, and they hired a fake protester at my first book signing. And it came out immediately that protester had molested over 10, 13-year-old girls, but nobody gave a shit. It was a trans woman protester, but that had nothing. They triangulated where my greatest support was coming from. And, I've always been a part of the queer community and the LGBTQ community, and that was where my support was coming from. So they set about with young people to destroy any support I had. So right. You get called a white supremacist, I get called a TERF, which I had to Google to find out what that was. It's a trans exclusionary radical feminist. I'm like, well, I don't even identify as a feminist, so that's the first part. I'm exclusionary of no one. In fact, tonight, I have, I don't even have to justify my life. It's like the queerest fact behind the scenes life in the world. I was taken in by 2 trans women when I was 13, when I was a runaway and homeless. These were my mothers. This is not reality at all. And they cut up the video because the protester came with professional camera and mic, a crew. And nobody stopped it. Nobody helped me. And I was on my last legs. I'd done over 100 interviews that week for my book. And they had Harvey Weinstein's face behind me on every monitor. And I just had not, and they weren't asking me what the book was about. My book, Brave, compares the cult I grew up in to the cult of Hollywood media and nationalism and how it affects your life in ways you're not aware of. And I use my stories to illustrate that. I write my book from the perspective of what if a product could talk? What if the chemical, I was sold to the people for many years. What if the chemical could tell you, what if the product could tell you every chemical is in it, right? So they just wanted to make it like it was only about Harvey Weinstein, stupid, and I was broken. I hadn't anticipated the amount of trauma, seeing his face and hearing his name and having all these journalists go, so he says it was consensual. The big smile at the end of every interview. It's like a fucking bullet.
Yeah.
Well, and there's a lot of trauma involved. I'm suing Black Cube in federal court right now. I'm suing Harvey Weinstein. I'm suing David Boyce and another stellar human named Lisa Bloom, and trying to get a RICO case to go through, which is very difficult. But if not, I have claims and damages on the other side. These people did a lot of harm.
Yeah. You're not afraid to do that? I would be afraid to do those lawsuits and stuff. I
don't care. What are they going to do to me besides death? That they haven't done to me? They've done everything.
Yeah, that's what
they've taken everything.
Okay. So I just want to talk
about... I'm here for humans, and that's all. I'm pro-human. I think that's the most amazing thing, to be in defense of these people, in defense of the dark arts, as they would say in Harry Potter.
Well, that sounds... you sound like a tour. I don't know what... I'm making up something. But let me just talk about when you got... kicked off Twitter, or the first.
Oh yeah, again.
So here's a tweet. Kamala Harris will go one-on-one with Bill Clinton on Friday to talk about the impact of COVID-19 on women and empowering women and girls in the United States and around the world as part of a Clinton Global Initiative event. And here it is. They tweeted out, close it. So we made fun of this when it happened, right? We're like, hey, we certainly should be having, the vice president certainly should be raising awareness about empowering women and girls in the U.S. around the world. But I don't think Bill Clinton is the guy to be doing it. That's just bad on its face. And so you tweeted out, this is obscene. Kamala Harris, you speaking with Bill Clinton about empowering women and girls is disgusting. Have you no soul? Have you no ethics? Ask him about being on an island of human trafficking victims 27 times. You are showing us exactly who you are, which is a point you made before, is that, do you think Bill Clinton just stayed on the plane? You don't think he got off the plane when he went to that island 27 times? Again, it's impolite. You're not allowed to ask this in regular journalism, so we have to have a celebrity like you do it. And then you tweeted out this picture, which is an art piece, right? Now tell me about this art piece.
So it's an artist named Alison Jones out of the UK. And I wanted to drive the point home, like, this is what it looked like. He got off the plane. And in the actual real photograph, not real photograph, there's Hillary's on the TV, but I cut that part out so I got suspended, saying I posted an intimate moment between a private couple.
So that's not even Bill Clinton. That's a lookalike, right? That's just a
lookalike.
That's not even him. And it's an
art piece that's gone viral several times.
And it's
ludicrous. And I'm shadow banned. I just tweeted something about Donna Brazil, and it got 6 likes out of almost 1 million followers. How does that statistically happen? I'm like, you're so obvious. Like, stop it.
So
why can't people just stop being bad? It's so exhausting.
Well, so
tired.
Here we go on. Here's the Daily Mail. Ask Bill Clinton what the hell he was doing on that pedo's jet on an island 27 times. Epstein victim Virginia Joffrey asks Kamala for meeting former president to talk about empowering young women. So that's a good question. I don't know if she ever had an answer. Here's Bill Clinton.
COVID-19 has had enforcing women out of the workforce. Madam Vice President, thank you for joining us and welcome.
Well, first of all, Mr. President, it is a true honor to join you and to all the young leaders.
And so that's like got to be stomach churning to someone like you, right? Knowing that it was the Clintons that made the phone call to kill the story about Harvey Weinstein and the protection that they offered and how they treated you after you said that about the Democratic Party and how you were, and then again, terrorized basically. So to see that really, I can't even imagine the kind of, ire you would feel over something like that, right?
Rage, really. And just that this is further proof that not that there needs to be further proof, but that it's a deep, deep cult, because not a single person was like, actually, optics.
Nope, nobody called it. You're right. It was left up to people like me to make fun of it and people like you to call it out.
Nobody inside who was setting it up at any point was like, Kamala, Vice President, maybe, we can rethink this.
But I'm sure Seth Meyers made jokes about this for weeks, I bet. And Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel. You don't think they didn't joke about this for months? Oh, isn't that funny? How they didn't make jokes about it? I don't know. Maybe they did. I don't watch those shows. Did you? I didn't hear any jokes about it. Maybe they did. Maybe I'm being unfair. Do you think they made jokes about it, Rose?
No, I know they didn't make jokes about it.
Okay.
And it's not because it's a not funny situation. It's because they're paid and bought for.
You can't. I think Bill Maher told us you can't make fun of of Joe Biden. It just isn't funny. I don't know if he said that, but that's what it feels like. It feels like all these comedians. No one will even mention that he's demented. I'll do it here. I called him a demented walking death rattle, and that's what the Democrats actually got worse from 2016. Hillary Clinton was a better candidate than Joe Biden. I mean, she was less horrible in a sense that she wanted to give Medicare to people 50 years and older. Joe Biden won't even give us the public option. He's kicking people out of his administration for past pot use. Meanwhile, his son, Hunter Biden, is the poster child for drug abuse. The hypocrisy never stops with the Joe Biden and the Democrats. It's off the hook. We could go on and on. Is there anything?
We can go on and on.
Is there anything I left out that you would like to talk about?
Just that, I would hope, if people are watching this show, they're already obviously, hopefully in your camp, but that they could somehow, some way, the deprogramming, my book actually goes a long way to deprogramming different ways of thought. I watched my father as a very powerful leader wire people's minds, and I'm really quite good at doing the opposite. And the only thing I'll say for myself is that I'm not here for any other reason than I know I can be, and I used the cameras and microphones during my acting career to game the system and hack it from the inside in my own strange way. So I'm here to fuck it up, and I'm glad you are too.
Yes, well, we wish you luck on that front. We really do. And,
Thank you.
And we
appreciate it.
And we appreciate. I mean, you know, I didn't have a Hollywood career to lose, right? I mean, I'm a comedian. I had a couple Comedy Central specials, but I wouldn't call that a big Hollywood career. But
yeah, you call me a celebrity. That's something I think I've earned the right to not be called that.
Oh, okay. Is that? I didn't mean that in pejorative.
It's always pejorative. It's not your fault. It's just the word used, but it's not accurate, I wouldn't say. I would say during my day job period, which was acting, I was discovered, so I didn't have like a 2 weeks later I was starring in a film. So I never was formed with this like, I'm an actor, like kind of weird thing. I respect it as a craft, but it was never my bag. It was like, I just made money that way. And I happen to be good at it, so I happen to decide to, you know. And then while doing that, I've mastered a lot of other things. I'm actually with the premiere of my podcast, Brave Truth, on the 26th of May. I'll be selling my first NFT, which is, you know, an art piece that's bought with crypto. And so it's exciting. It's exciting times. Still trying to find a way around the system and all the dickheads, but here we go. I am pro-human. I want us all to be better, and I know we can be. So I'll keep thumping that. Thank you, Jimmy.
So before I let you go, you mentioned just briefly there. So you weren't working at acting and being an actor your whole life. Well, how did you get discovered? How did it happen?
I was standing on a street corner crying, and a woman came up to me. I was standing in front of a gym of all things, and my boyfriend had just died. And I was standing there crying, and I knew I was facing homelessness again. And this woman said, "Are you an actress or do you want to be?" And she knew the person I was standing with. And after 2 weeks, I finally consented to go meet the director. And then like a week later, I'm starring in a movie, and it was called The Doom Generation. It premiered at Sundance, caused a lot of people walked out because it was so crazy. And, you know, it went from there. And very quickly, I realized I was trapped on the wrong side of the screen, but that if I kept at it, I could fulfill my destiny of my favorite bumper sticker that I saw when I was 11 when I got sent to the U.S. And I was like, oh, yeah, I can do that. Subvert the dominant paradigm.
That was the bumper sticker?
And I was like, oh, once I figured out what that meant, I was like, I can do that somehow, some way. So that's what I'm doing.
Okay, well, fantastic. That's a good goal. That's a good. We support it. We support it. All right, Rose. Well, thanks for coming on and spending time, and thanks for telling the truth about both political parties. You didn't just say the Democrats were in a cult. You also said the Republicans were in a cult too. That they are.
Definitely did.
Yes. You know. So. You know, Russiagate was an evidence-free conspiracy theory. QAnon, same thing. So there's very little difference between the siloing and the cultishness of both parties. There's very little difference. People would, well, Keith Olbermann would disagree with you, but I think we proved that he's kind of nuts. All right, thank you very much, Rose.
Well, he's under his flag right now, so we best leave him be.
Yes, he is. Okay,
have a great day.
It was a real pleasure. It's a real pleasure to meet you, and I really appreciate you coming on.
Dad, after all, we've strayed, and yes, we've been bad. We're thankful for your love, and for sending the searchers to give us a chance. We vow to do our best. After you're gone, oh Dad, it's gonna break my heart. The love you've shown to me. After reading your letters, the first thing I thought was, Dad, I don't want you to leave. And yes, we promise that we'll carry it on. At least we'll try with all of our heart. But before you go, we just want you to know, oh Dad, we're gonna carry it on. After you're gone, oh Dad, it's gonna break my heart. The love you've shown to me. After reading your letters, the first thing I thought was, Dad, I don't want you to leave. And yes, we promise that we'll carry it on. At least we'll try with all of our heart. But before you go, we just want you to know, oh Dad, we're gonna carry it on. And yes, we promise that we'll carry it on. At least we'll try with all of our heart. Dad, we're gonna